I do this stream right now. I did a stream like 2 days ago. These days, I don't, I try to make as much time as I possibly can in terms of like just hopping on and doing the stream or whatever. But sometimes, you know what I mean? It's certain other things just get in the way. But as far as being as consistent as possible, that's definitely something I could do. You understand what I'm saying? And I've said it in the past, like, yo, you know what I mean? You want monetary gain from this stuff, but monetary gain is not the primary objective here. You dig what I'm saying? It shouldn't be. You know what I mean? And sometimes as human beings, we could be in survival mode. We think to ourselves, oh damn, you know what I mean? I just want to do it for the money. In actuality, money it shouldn't be the first thing that's on your mind. You understand what I'm saying? Even though how sort of how society is set up, how the world is set up, it's almost as if that's something that you have to do. You know what I mean? But I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's not something that you have to do. I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you that it's not important to get what it is that you need to get and have what it is that you need to have. But it goes deeper than just that. So I'm gonna continue to do it regardless of how much ever, you know what I mean, how much I make from it or whatever it is, because that's not the primary goal, you know. Um, yeah, straight up and down. uh, yeah. And the window is open, you know what I mean? So, bear that in mind. But yeah, I want to talk about Mikel Arteta, bro. I feel like he's the best manager in terms of football managers in the world. I've said that before on this channel. You know what I mean? I've said that in the past. Um, and it's coming to fruition. Like we're seeing those things happening. It's and more people are seeing it. I saw it. I identified it from Jump Street. I knew that Arsene Wenger had initially identified something in Arteta as a player, where he was like, "Nah, this guy right here, this is who I want to lead this Arsenal team." Because remember, he came from Everton back in the day, right? Came to Arsenal, captain the team. Arsene Wenger saw a manager on the pitch in Mikel Arteta, and I'd say he'd been learning his trade his whole life. And there's certain things that he learned from Arsene Wenger. What's good? What's good? What's good? Ahmed, what's good? What's good? What's good? Big up yourself. Big up, bro. Big up, big up, big up. How's it going, man? It's going great, man. It's going great, man. I just got through playing chess. I'm not gonna front. I just lost two games, two competitive games. And I'm not gonna make no excuses. I'm not gonna make no excuses about those two games that I lost at playing chess. I won. I might have won two before that, but then I lost two back to back. Some Africans, you know what I mean? Some Egyptians. You see me? I said, big up to Egypt, big up to all of Africa, you see me? Big up on yourself. Yo, Terrence, happy Thanksgiving, brother. You see me? I said we give thanks every day, but happy Thanksgiving, bro. Big up to yourself, Terrence B. You see me? But yeah, you know what I mean? More time you could just identify, you know what I mean, certain traits, and certain qualities, and certain characteristics in certain people. You know what I mean? And Mikel Arteta was one of those people that I was able to identify certain traits and certain characteristics in. You know what I mean? And when we talk about somebody that's disciplined, you know what I mean? I started noticing that discipline from Jump Street. I noticed the discipline, I noticed the passion, I noticed the love that he has for the players, I noticed the love that he has for the club. You understand what I'm saying? And I know when you combine those things, right? When you combine those things with the mind that he was given, I know the limits beyond the sky, straight up and down. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like when you're able to identify certain intangibles in people, it's easy for you to be like, yeah, all right, boom, I could see this person excelling. I could see this person, you know what I mean, just going beyond anything anyone could ever imagine. Right. And we're seeing these things, right? Those seeds that were planted back then, we're seeing those seeds come into fruition. And it wasn't always great, but we're now starting to see that. And I'm glad everybody's starting to see what I saw years ago. Well, big up to Mikel Arteta, you see me? Big up to Alien who built pyramids. Nah, man, no aliens built. Yo, it's the intangibles, man. Listen to me, man. We're all connected to source. We're all connected to the Most High. You see what I'm saying? We all are. You know what I mean? You see, back in those days, people were a lot more spiritually in tune. You see me? Like more, all right, boom. So I was sitting with another Rasta brother, you see me I say? And we was just there just holding the reasoning. And we said one thing that we were talking about, change. Change is everywhere. Change is always happening. Change is constantly happening, right? Boom. And it was something that I said, right? You know what I mean? And it didn't even occur to me until then that I really started looking at it because I was actually looking in the sky and just looking at the moon. I'm thinking to myself, yo, this is what my ancestors was doing. We were studying the moon. We were you know what I mean? We took time away from our phones. We got off into nature. You know what I mean? And we would just observe and just learn things. You know what I mean? Just learn more about the planet. We were just so in tune with the planet. We're just so, you know what I mean? And not only we're in tune with the planet, but we're in tune with the planet because we are a part of the planet. You know what I mean? And with that, well, our reasoning, you know what I mean? And like, I remember I was like, you know what I mean? The moon was out. It was the moon because it started to get dark early. Is a matter. So the moon was out, right? So I was there looking at the moon and I was like, yo, you see, when you're a man that knows that change is inevitable, you take on the perspective of the sun and the moon. Because the sun and the moon, they always gonna creep up. It's always gonna be here. The sun and the moon is everlasting. It's been here for as long as time, right? And I know people are gonna have their theories about, but energy can't be created nor destroyed. You know what I mean? So we're gonna start there, right? But you take on that perspective, that calm perspective. The sun ain't never cursing at nobody. The sun ain't never quarreling. The moon neither. You know what I mean? It just takes on that perspective and it just observes. And that's what our ancestors did. You know what I mean? And we observe this by nature, right? So when you're able to identify certain characteristics and certain traits in people, boom, I see those traits and I see those characteristics in this individual. All right, boom. I know when you mix these things together, these intangible spiritual things, when you mix them together, the limit is the limit's beyond the sky. Is it my say? Yeah. Yeah, man. Bless up, Southside brawling. Boom. Bless up yourself, my brother. You see me? Deceptive maple. Me don't even know what I say right now, you see me? Deceptive maple. Anything, too much of anything is never a good thing. You see me I say? But you can't have life without the sun, my brother, or my sister. You see me I say? You can't have life without the sun. So I don't even know what you talk about right now, my brother. I don't even know what you talk about right now. Because none of them plants that we see now go grow without the sun. None of them plants the plants are not going to grow without the sun shining. Energy can't be created nor destroyed again. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you can look at it one way and one dimensionally. If you eat too much, things could happen there as well. You see what I'm saying? So a moderation was saying, you see me? Yeah. Big up yourself. Somebody said I look Swedish. Nah, man, I ain't a Jamaican, I ain't a African, you see me? I ain't gonna front though. We do have a little bit of, some light skin in our family, you know what I mean? We do have some of that in our family, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Caribbean, you see me? African, you know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, somebody, somebody say, yo, keep it like that. Big up yourself, my brother. Big up yourself. More time, I just pull it out, but you see my side, natural. You know what I mean? We just do the natural thing, you know what I mean? Some more time. This is how I feel comfortable. If I'm rocking a style, I don't really go too crazy. I'm not a kid no more. You know what I mean? So this is just how I wear it when I want to keep it out of my face or just you know what I mean for you know just a regular everyday style. And somebody said they ain't no light skin in your family. Yo, believe what you want, bro. Believe whatever it is that you want. I'm not here to try to convince you that there is. You could take my word for it or you don't. I'm not. Big up on yourself still, is me? Yeah. But as man said still, Mikel Arteta. And the reason why I say Mikel Arteta, right? Again, you can identify those traits, man, when you see the discipline and when you see, all right, when you see what he built from what he was given and where the team was coming from, and when you start when everything started to gel. Because I'm not gonna front in the period, there was a period of time when a lot of people were questioning Arteta, but I wanted to trust the process more because I'm one of those like I want to see something new. I want to see, because us as Arsenal fans, right? Us that support the club Arsenal, we're used to. I don't know how whenever anybody started supporting the club, but I'm used to seeing one manager at the club. When everywhere else you're seeing all type of turmoil, you're seeing everybody coming and going. Arsenal had that stability, so I'm used to that. Is a master. So once you used to seeing that stability, it's like, all right, cool. Well, Arsene Wenger, that thing wasn't working out. And you know what I mean? When you kind of tapping into what it is that's happening, it's like you absorbing the energy of a lot of the fan base or a lot of the community. You know what I mean? Online because you feel the same way. And then there's somebody that's voicing it and they speaking exactly what it is that you feel in the moment, right? And it's the passion and the emotion that comes behind it as well. You see me? It's not a passion and the emotion that comes behind it. And it galvanizes the fan base to say, nah, we want something different. So at the time, we didn't want Arsene Wenger to be there no more because we saw Arsene Wenger started to become a one-trick pony. He wasn't evolving like he should be evolving. You understand what I'm saying? At the time, we was looking at it that way. But now we started seeing, all right, cool. Well, they've identified somebody and make no mistake, make no mistake, make no mistake. Arsene Wenger played a big role in a hey, thrifty simplicity, my baby. How you doing, sweetheart? Hope all is well with you, sweetheart. Hope all is well with you. Big up to you on this Thanksgiving. Yeah. But as man said, you see when Arsene Wenger was able to identify those traits, and Arsene Wenger is very great at identifying traits, right? And characteristics and players. Now, make no mistake, the reason why he wasn't able to build his team the way he wanted to was because he wasn't being provided the finances that somebody would need, like say a Jose Mourinho, you know what I mean, or whomever was at a Chelsea at the time, and then later a Manchester City at the time, because the finances were up. But Arsene Wenger, he was so consistent that he was just not finishing outside of the top four until that became a problem. Then there needed to be change, right? And then when change happened, I still kind of I knew because I heard it through the grapevines, and I kind of knew that Mikel Arteta was next in line before all of this Yumberg and before you understand what I'm saying. I kind of knew who was next in line, and to see the process, I just wanted to see I just wanted to see the flower, the seed that was planted. I wanted to see it flourish and just germinate into the best that it could possibly be. You see me? I said. So if I'm them time there, you know what I mean? When you start observing and you start looking at life from those angles, again, you take on the perspective of the sun and the moon. You take on the perspective, that calm, observing perspective, that perspective that don't gotta strike back with words at the time. Unless you need to. If it's necessary, you do it. If it's not necessary, you ever see the lion in the jungle? You ever seen the lion walking around moping and frowning and nah, he take it one day at a time. And when it's time, he handles what he needs to handle. I digress. God bless you. Everything Thanksgiving, says Jason Hill. Big up on himself again on Thanksgiving, and we give thanks every day. Isn't it? We give thanks every day. We all know the history of Thanksgiving. Well, if you don't know, maybe you should kind of look it up. But at the same time, I'm not gonna make just because it's Thanksgiving or it's not Thanksgiving mean I am or I'm not gonna give thanks. You dig what I'm saying? Thanks is something I'm gonna give every day. I'm gonna just come off of the phone with my daughter this morning. I'm gonna call my daughter. I'm gonna say, "Oh, I didn't speak in patois, obviously. Well, maybe you don't know that or whatever. But I called my daughter and I said the same thing to my daughter. I didn't say, oh, happy Thanksgiving. That's so generic and regular. Nah, I know happy Thanksgiving. Look, what I'm gonna say is, and I'm not gonna quote verbatim what it is that I said, right? But basically, I was letting them know, hey, listen, those small things, the small things in life, those are the things that I want you to focus on and give thanks for. Your health, your life, just the fact that you're able to get up, wake up, take on a new day, open your eyes. It's a blessing. There's so much blessing in that. It's a matter. And that's basically how the conversation went. So I'm not gonna quote verbatim, but that's how the conversation went. Just so you can kind of understand what it is that I'm saying. So even though it's Thanksgiving, look. I love the word Thanksgiving. I love it as a word, Thanksgiving. It's so thankful and giving. But glad. Yeah, it's a thankful giving word. Isn't that saying? But it was a thankful giving word that was disguised. There was a lot of very crude acts that was disguised behind that thankful giving word. Isn't that saying? So we're well aware of that. So when we give thanks from the pureness of our heart. You see me? Yeah. And when we wake up, we understand, say, yo, I have a next opportunity. No matter what I go on, no matter what's going on, I have another opportunity. Is that answer? Yeah. Somebody in here gang banging my brother. Yo, air me I said gang banger. And I don't even want to call you out your what's your bando wait a minute bando yo, listen to what I'm saying, bro. I love what's that. Isn't it? I love what's that. We ain't saying no gang, we not no gang members, no none of that. Isn't it? I love what's that. I ain't it what's that. Isn't it? Peace and guidance, my brother. Yeah. Hmm. Yo, more time somebody comment that. Yo, me not making a draw me out tonight. Me not making a draw me out a bumper clad. Y'all ain't gonna draw me out, bro. Peace and guidance. Big up yourself, Bobby 2 points. Yo, me don't know what the dep one still, but as me I said still, you know what I mean? As me I said, when I have to understand and be so grateful for just life in itself. Nobody get too caught up in the matrix and the ism, kism, and the, you know what I mean? You know, the materialistic and this, that. Yo, if you listen, you got a roof over your head, that's something to give thanks for. I'm not telling you to sit up here and seckle. Is the answer? But I always want you to understand. There's always something to give thanks for. There's always something to be grateful for. If you can't shift your blood clot mind and redirect it and focus on the things that you're grateful for and not just the things them that's going out of wax in life. It's gonna add so much value to what it is that you got going on. It's gonna be something. Is a man says something just. It's gonna galvanize you. Different frequency. You get it. You get up. You pop in more time. More time people even know some have on my earphone. Is a man say more time. I just did I walk through. People. I try get my attention, brother. I mean, is a man say just I zone out. Just I give thanks. Thanks me I give. Me on the more side. When I play my music and the vibration just high. Is a man just irie, isn't it? Yeah. Big up yourself, Willie. 123 811. Big up yourself, my brother. I say you have a goat in the oven. No? No, honestly, I'm getting my diet clean, man. You see me I say? You know what I mean? The impressed about a cook and thing and do fair thing, but she, you know what I mean? She just walked out still. But when they you know what I mean? From morning, me just eat fruits and you know what I mean? Like I have a banana this morning and a melon. You see me? And I had a smoothie before that. I had a blueberry smoothie when I met from last night. So yeah, man, you know what I mean? Because I'm more geared I'm gearing myself more toward a more holistic lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm perfect because my diet has been out of wax, in wax, out of wax. You know what I mean? It ain't great, but I'm implementing these new, as the man said, these new habits again. You know what I mean? And this time it's gonna be it's gonna be permanent. 50 say you drink coffee? Occasionally, yes, I do drink coffee. I absolutely do drink coffee occasionally. Yeah, and that's another thing as well because of how it's processed. Like when I was a little kid, when I was in Jamaica as a little kid, we had coffee. I don't know how they process the coffee, but I knew they process it by like they did everything by hand and by the sun and by, you understand what I'm saying? Like I never sat out there and watched them. I just knew that they would pick coffee off the tree and then we would have coffee. You know what I mean? But it would be in a different texture. And we didn't have machines and chemicals and all of that sort of stuff. Everything was just natural. It doesn't matter. But I know here, you know what I mean, especially because everything is so monetized, everything is about money and everything like that, that a lot of things that we're eating, because it's so highly processed, so modified, that, you know what I mean, more time, even if you indulge, it's like, yo, don't even indulge too much, isn't that so? Yeah, I had some coffee yesterday. Did I have coffee yesterday? No, I had coffee 2 days ago. Yesterday I had chai latte. But occasionally I do drink coffee. I love tea, right? Tea, like you'll catch me drinking some, I didn't drink no tea today, but I love tea. And I was a kid when I was a kid, this is what I used to do with the tea, right? So, is to take the tea whenever they made tea for me. I used to take the tea, and, like, when it's hot, because in Jamaica, we have these crackers, these water crackers, right? They're really hard. When you put them on the tea, they get really soggy or soft, right? And I would just love to just put the water crackers in the tea, and they would just fluff up. They just fluff up, right? And then you just eat it, and it's the warmth of the tea. Like, you tasting the warmth and the flavor of the tea, and it's trapped in the water. It's trapped in the water crackers. And now the water crackers, it doesn't really have a flavor. It's almost tasteless. So now you're absorbing the taste of the tea. You see me? So yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I do. I love tea. Different types of tea. I miss eating coffee berries. I never done that. Frank Rice said I miss eating coffee berries. Yo, Frank Rice, that's what's up, bro. I'm gonna tell you, yo, you know something? I'm gonna tell you something. You said something that remind me of something. I never did that, but I'm gonna tell you, you reminded me of something. So my grandfather, right? The light skinned one, and to the guy that was saying I don't have, like, if you ever seen my grandfather, my father's father, like, ridiculous. Like he was like he was a black man, but he was like this complexion. But anyway, when I was a kid, right? Me and my grandfather, like it was just me and him sometimes. You know what I mean? Like he would take, like, if there's nobody like at the house or whatever, and he couldn't leave me with somebody, or he just wanted to spend time with me. And he'd just be like, yo, come on. You understand what I'm saying? And it'd be me and my grandfather, and we leaving because we from Clarendon. You understand what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? It's like we would leave and we would like get on the back of this big, I'd say, truck. Right? I don't even know how to describe the truck, but the back of the truck is like open back, and it's this big truck. And we would go to Frankfield. There's a place called Frankfield. It's in Clarendon, right? And we would sell the cocoa. The cocoa is what makes the chocolate, right? So it's like a fruit, and it comes in the form of a fruit. So when you look at it, right, in its natural state, you'll see it fruit. It's almost like a lemon but bigger, and the color is a lot more distorted than a lemon's color would be, right? And it's not lime or like a high kind of neon color, right? And then when you open it, that's just the exterior, right? And then when you crack it and you open it, you see that chocolate really in its purest form. You see that the chocolate, it's not like this. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like this or a darker part of my skin, right? Like it's not like this. You get what I'm saying? It's more, it's actually white. It's more cream, white. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't know what it is that they do. Maybe when you bite into it, maybe when you bite into it, the seed is probably this complete. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Because I've never really bitten the seed, so I don't know. But the outside, for sure. And this is what I could remember this from being a kid, and I was very young at this time, very very young. I remember eating it, and it's very sweet. I could still taste it. I still remember the taste, and I haven't had it in 30 years. Call it 30 years, right? Because like I'm about like around 5 years old at this time. Me and my grandfather's going, you know what I mean, places or whatever it is. And yeah, it's actually white. So when you taste it, it's sweet. It's a real nice taste to it, you know what I mean? But yeah, me and my grandfather, man, we used to more time we just go to Frankfield. And I miss my big shout outs to my grand. He died 20 years ago, man, but his memory's always gonna live on. I'm always gonna think about him. And I spoke to my other grandfather yesterday, the one that's alive. And this is again gratitude, how gratitude goes. And I don't always reach out to everybody. But even if I don't reach out to you, just know I'm grateful to have you in my life. Even if I don't say it, just know that I am grateful and I am infinite love. You know what I mean? But I reached out to him and I spoke to him. And I was telling him because he had kind of lost mobility a little bit. He lost mobility in his body. You understand what I'm saying? Like he wasn't walking around like he once was and he kept falling. And I told him, yo, grandfather, this is my grandfather. He's 81 or something like he's in his 80s, right? I should know how old my grandfather is, but he's in his 80s. But anyway, my grandfather who's in his 80s, I was telling him, your grandfather, you gonna start walking again. You're gonna start walking. And this was months ago. I was telling him this stuff. Would you believe that my grandfather he's walking again? Would you believe that? Come on. So yeah, yesterday I was talking to him, and this is my dark skinned grandfather. And I was letting him know, man, because I was actually showing I was showing my girlfriend, like I was showing her pictures of, how both of my grandfathers and how they used to look, like the light skinned one and the dark skinned one had like both of them side by side. And I was kind of like, kind of looking at my features and thinking to myself, like, who do I kind of, you know what I mean? And I kind of went with the dark skin, like he had a real mustache. His mustache was like, you know what I mean? It's like my mustache. So I was having a conversation when I was talking to him because I was fascinated. I was like, "Yo, grandpa, does your beard connect?" And he's like, "Nah, his beard doesn't connect. His beard doesn't connect per se like my beard kind of connects, right? But he had a very thick mustache, and you could see that he had like the soul patch down here, right? And you could tell, like, you know what I mean? You could see that he was a fly dude, a ladies' man back in the day. And both of them were tailors. This is crazy. They never met each other. Or I don't know if they met each other in Jamaica, maybe walking past one another, probably not, because they're from two completely different, towns and two different, probably not. But they never met each other, right? But they were both tailors, and my father's father was also a barber as well. And my father's father, now here's the thing with him: everybody in the community would always come to my where my father's father was. Like that was the place where everybody in the community would come to hang out, no matter the age, no matter the complexion, no matter the class. Everybody knew Masroy. Of all classes, of all races, everybody knew that this is the house you go to. So whenever anybody came into that community, they knew who my grandfather was. And they would always not even check in because he was just such a loving person. He was just such a kind person. And he would allow you to spend time at his house free of charge. And when my grandfather was alive, I tell you what, man, my grandfather was alive, when he was alive, the house was always packed. Always packed. It be people living with us for centuries, bro. They not even related to us, bro. But we treat them like family. And then there are times as well where some of my family members, I call them not necessarily the ones that I'm directly, because my grandfather, he got married twice as well. So you know what I mean. Um, you know what I mean. Well, things weren't always peachy cream, but I'm just letting you know. You know what I mean. This is how things were was this is how things were back then. And just the love that he had for life. This is the love that he had for his family. You know what I mean? Everyone just gravitated to him. Everyone just gravitated. It was just natural. Just natural. You know what I mean? And to see that foundation and kind of be who I am in terms of I'm not the type of person to always I don't want to be around everyone all the time. But you see, if people got love in their heart, it's very difficult to really discern it sometimes. But if you pay attention again to the intangibles, you'll be able to see these things. But yes, if things were still now like they were back then, my doors would be open like my grandfather's. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like that's how people should live. But you gotta have a community of standards. People have to be on one accord, one frequency, one vibration. Obviously, we're all different. Obviously, we're all gonna think different. We all gotta come back to understanding. Love. I love to deal with it, isn't me? Big up yourself, Vance Hamrick. Big up yourself. Yo, Big Cheese, what's up? Double whammy. Yo, some of them things I didn't even know. I used to go to. Hold on, I'm gonna read some of these that are relevant to what it is that we're saying because some of them comment I didn't even know what we're not talk about. Jah know. Jah know I didn't even know we're not talk about. Mm. I used to go to my grandmother plantation in Fern Gully and crack open cocoa pods and suck the seeds. They could get you drunk. She was like, I not man talk about. That's what I'm saying. I didn't even know it could get you. Yo, it sound like you. It sound like you speaking from experience, Frank. Frank Rice. It sound like an experience I speak from. Is a man said, but yeah, in Jamaica, it's kind of like even look at me, like look at my complexion. I'm not one you understand what I'm saying? Like I'm not just one like I have a lot of different textures around my body. You understand what I'm saying? But that's the thing with Jamaica. Yeah, we talk about out of many one people, like we proud of who we are in terms of being African. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody can tell we say we're not African. You see me I say? Nobody can't tell we say we're not Ethiopian, but you know what I mean? We understand the oneness of who we are. We understand that there are different things and ethnicities and things as well in our background that makes us whole. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, and we're proud of being a unit of mankind. You understand what I'm saying? We're proud of being human beings. You see me? I say society design the thing and structure the thing out. You know what I mean? So in a weird way, it chastise Africans and people. You understand what I'm saying? Of a darker complexion and treat them a certain type of way. A society did that, and people sat up there and co-signed it. You understand what I'm saying? People sat up there and co-signed it, right? Because why? Because it doesn't affect me, so I'm gonna turn the other way, right? Or I don't want to be the one on the bottom, so I'm gonna join in too. You see what I'm saying? Not and for me, it's like, oh, if you know that it's something and it's you know that it's not right, then why would you join in on that? Like you still gotta leave and go look at yourself. And a lot of times when you do wickedness, that it's gonna linger in your consciousness. When you do devilish wickedness, I don't even want to use the term devilish, right? Because people are gonna start with the religious thing. I don't. This ain't the place for it. As I always say, but it's not a religion. I just like it's a lifestyle, isn't it? It's a lifestyle. But yeah, hold on. You know what? I'm gonna digress from that. Um, I'm gonna digress from that. How many? Big up yourself, Vance. Yeah, it would be nice. People are too selfish these days for us to create a community. Yeah, for real. Nah, it's these people are so in survival mode, and it's like you've been conditioned to be in survival mode from you're little. So people are not genuinely wanting connection. People's connections come with incentives. It comes with what's in it for me. It comes with what I can gain from it. It doesn't come from a sense of, man, this is where I want to be because there's love here, because there's kindness here. I want to pour into this. I want to share with this. I want to give to this. People approach things. What can I get from this? What can I gain? What can I take? Not what I could contribute. You understand what I'm saying? Because somebody mentioned the pyramids, and this full circle, because the pyramids were built because people wanted to contribute, right? People wanted to contribute. People back then, we were spiritual beings, and we knew that we existed for the purpose to serve the Most High. You understand what I'm saying? So, because we knew what the purpose of our existence was, because we knew what the purpose of our existence was, what we would do is, if we had a project or whatever it is, we put our minds to that project because we know the objective of this project, right? And we know the inspiration that comes from this project comes from the Most High. And everything we do it for the Most High. So people talk about aliens. Somebody mentioned something about aliens built the pyramids. No, aliens didn't been because it's oneness, one energy we saw. So it's not about aliens building the pyramids. Now people went inside. We went internally. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it's not about aliens building the pyramids. No, aliens didn't build the pyramids. You got to go inside, right? You have to go inside. Yo, my girl said they definitely help. It's not aliens. It's not aliens, right? It's not aliens. Listen to what I'm saying. It's a spirit, right? Just like how, all right, boom. So it's certain biblical stories that people still believe these stories. And again, I don't want to make this something religious, right? So that was her contribution right there. But I don't want to make this religious, but there are people, would you agree that there are people who believe that Moses, right, stuck out the rod and parted the Red Sea? Would you agree that there are people that believe that? Yeah, right? There are people that believe that Moses did this. What was that energy, that frequency that Moses was in tune with for Moses to stick out that rod and part the Red Sea? You get what I'm saying? So was it aliens? Was it aliens that came and parted the Red Sea? And this is not about historical facts or fiction, right? This is just me giving an example from something that we would agree that there's a large portion, a significant portion of the world that believe that this is true. So if you believe that this is true, why then would you now limit the potential and the power of the Most High? Why then would you limit the potential and the power of Jah? How could you? So now, when all our spiritual forces, my spiritual forces are geared towards Jah. Your spiritual forces are geared towards Jah. And all our community, we're all in the same frequency and all in the same vibration. We can move mountains. But we got to stay on that frequency. But we have to stay on that vibration. Is it master? Make sense? So we're talking about aliens. I'm not going to sit up here and say it's not a conversation of whether aliens are real or whether they're not real. This is not this conversation. That conversation is for a completely another time. Is it master? But what I focus on right now is where I focus on the intangibles. We're focusing on that's the spiritual energy. We're focusing on that Jah energy. Is it master? And more time you can't find the words to say it because it's such a powerful energy. So just playing one word upon it, and we just said Jah. Is it master? Isn't it? Somebody said I miss eating coffee berries. Somebody said, was he from St. Anne? No, no. My grandfather's from Clarendon. My grandfather's from Clarendon. Right in the center of Jamaica. But my grandmother, actually, oddly enough, his wife, a branch card as soon as it arrives. All right. I'm sorry. Give me a second. All right. You said Anne, St. Anne. My grandmother, oddly enough, my grandmother, who was his first wife, they had 3 kids together. She is actually from St. Anne. As a matter of fact, she's from St. Anne. So my roots are right in the center of Jamaica. My maroon, like everything, my roots are right in the center of Jamaica. You know what I mean? And I love that place. I love it. I love this world. I love this planet. You know what I mean? There's so much to love about it. There's so much to love about life. As a matter of fact. But there was a simplicity. There was a simplicity. And there was an elegance about the simplicity and the togetherness and the sharing and the waking up and going by the river and catching the fish with your hands. I never did it. I didn't do it. Again, I was young. I was very young. I was like 5 years old, 4 years old doing these things. But my uncles and you know what I mean, the older guys, and you would see them and they'd go and they'd catch the crabs, and move the rocks and they'd catch the crabs and they'd grab the crab. It's just a different sort of such a natural, pure lifestyle. Oh my, mwah, such a natural, pure lifestyle, isn't it? You go a river, you bathe in the river, you jump off a stone in the river, you see me? Have a good time at the river. Some girl there at the river on a cook. You see me I say? Cook on the food by the river. Such a simple time. Such an in tune time. Such a spiritual time. Such a good time. And then, look, and then we come from our ancestors. We know what our ancestors went through. We know our ancestors weren't smiling. We know our ancestors sacrificed happiness, right? We know that. We know they sacrificed happiness for our survival. So a lot of the roughness that because we Jamaican, so that roughness will come from it. It will come from the rugged roughness, isn't it? A rough culture will come from. Very spiritual culture as well. Very spiritually in tune people. Rough as well. But the roughness, the edge will come from the roughness. It doesn't offset the love. It's something I saying the togetherness. But at the same time, more time it can't overbear it. So more time you just have to give people them distance and love them from a distance same way. But still love them pure and unconditionally. But I gonna love you from over there, sir. Isn't it? Or over here, sir. Isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, but it's a more again, if you could just imagine, if you could just imagine people are able to, you know what I mean, put that you know what I mean, the selfishness of me behind and think about us and togetherness. Every now and then we could think about us and togetherness. We could build communities like that. You dig what I'm saying? We can, but it's that one consciousness, one energy, one consciousness. And there's people that believe in things like that, but then they want to fool themselves into believing that the that McDonald's is good for 'em, that the watered down artificial is good for them. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, always gotta yield the King of Kings. Always gotta yield the King of Kings. Is a master. Always gotta yield the King of Kings. And, you know what I mean? And just kind of look at that. Look at that as the mold for life. Look at that as the blueprint. You know what I mean? Of what a great man should be. As a master. Look at that as a blueprint. And if you believe that great men existed before you, if you could come outside of your head and believe that great men and great people have lived before you, and you could say, yeah, man, look upon that, miss that. And I don't just resonate with that on the outside of what it looks like. I resonate that from with that from a spiritual perspective. I feel that. You understand what I'm saying? And there's a silence about it. There's a silent knowing. There's a silent knowing about it. And it's so satisfying. So satisfying. You understand what I'm saying? Because we understand we understand what our roots are. Even when you take us away from, you try to remove us physically from our homeland, remove us physically from what it is that we remove us physically and divide us from one another. It's amazing how we still could come together under oneness. It's amazing how we could still love ourselves when we're so chastised. It's amazing how we can love ourselves when people in Jamaica for wearing their natural hair. Yeah, people like Naaman, Manley, and them people. Bustamante, them man them. Me I say, Bustamante, Alexander Bustamante. And you have people like them man there. You see me I say? I do all kind of shaggery to people because they wearing their hair naturally in the natural form in the natural state. And because them are hail the king of kings, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. You see me I say? So me give thanks. Yeah. So I give thanks. I give thanks. You see me I said, despite the fact that we were so persecuted and prosecuted for being ourselves, for simply expressing our own ideas, for simply wanting to be us in our true natural element, we still were able to form community and come together. No matter how much they try to divide us, we still pop up like ain't nothing happened. It's something intangible. I think people are so used to seeing these things happen. And so it's so normalized and it's so desensitized that they don't understand. They don't understand how guided we are, how spiritual we are. And not until you tap in, not until you start going within and looking within, that you start to take on the perspective of the sun and the moon. I oneness was saying no. I oneness was saying no. I oneness was said. Oneness was said. One energy was said, isn't it? Hmm. Hmm. Read some of the comment then. Yeah, it would be nice. People, yeah, I read that one. Hi, you are beautiful, handsome the way you are. And if it wasn't because you weren't able to be here, meaning the rest of people, we are only a mutation. Big up yourself to Naz. It's been a minute, but I do recognize that name, and thank you so much for finding your way back home. We're gonna build up this consistency again, and thank you so much for the compliment. You're beautiful as well. I haven't seen you. I'm sure you're beautiful on the outside, but I'm talking about the inside. You know what I mean? And where it's the most important to be beautiful at the inside, because people will see you, but they won't see how beautiful you are on the inside a lot of time. You know what I mean? And the beauty that's within. A lot of times because we're so immersed in things happening out here that sometimes we build protective borders around the beauty that's within because we understand that when people see that they take it as weakness. It's not weakness. It's a superpower. It's a strength. It's a strength. It's a strength. Is it man say? But me not, yo, hear me say, be yourself, but at the same time, just remember say I oneness was say, it's me I say one energy. Yeah. What I say, blood clot. Yo, that comment that funny, the bumbo clot. It's funny. We expect those here comments. Somebody say, yo, why do you have gym equipment on your head, but also speak those facts? What a bumbo clot. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. That one. Yeah, that's funny. That's clever. That's why I like that comment. Hold on. But it's a gym equipment to Somebody say, yo, just people in general, you're saying? Somebody say, well, it's not that black and white. Somebody said, George Floyd, is that you? A one energy was say. So yeah, one energy was say, isn't it? One energy say when you see me, yeah, it's a George Floyd. So if you don't like George Floyd, then you don't like me either. Isn't it? So one energy was say. And to hate George Floyd would be to hate yourself because you are also George Floyd. One energy was say. You don't understand what I say? Oh. One energy would say, isn't it? Yeah. So you see how people of all races and creed, you see how when they saw what that man did to George Floyd, you see how people got together? And you got some criminals right now trying to get this guy up out of here. Nah, it's not happening. We're not standing for that. But do you understand the togetherness, right? A one energy was set. And it took things like that for people to come together. It shouldn't take tragedies like George Floyd for people to come together. That me, I'm making a know. I want energy me say. Not because yo things is no. Those people didn't know George Floyd, but they saw, right? Because they saw, they understood that what was happening to George Floyd was wrong on every level. There's nothing that no one could say to try to justify or as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, we're not, we're not getting into this. There's nothing anybody could say to justify what happened to George Floyd. No matter what you say. Because if it's okay to happen to George Floyd, then it means it's okay to happen to you and somebody that you love. Picture that. One energy was set. One energy was set. So if it's okay to happen to George Floyd, is it then okay to happen to your father, to your brother, to your mother, to you? You know what I said? So there's nothing, nobody can't tell me nothing for justify that. And it took something so tragic to bring people together, and it was so beautiful to see people all over the world come together and stand together because they saw the fuckery. I gotta look around because it's a man saying that was happening, right? And they came together and stood together. You know what I mean? One energy was set. One spiritual forces was set. Isn't it? So again, it's not about a lot of times people want to make it about color. That's how they wanted to structure it. It ain't about color. The energy. What kind of energy you bringing? So you're one of those people that feel like George Floyd was right. It was right for them to do that to George Floyd, or are you one of those people that know that it was wrong, and you're one of those people that stood up for George Floyd, despite the fact that you weren't there. Is it me? Yeah. And it's people of all creeds, all races, all around the world. Isn't man saying it was beautiful? Is it man? I said Rocky Balboa. Is that you? I'm not gonna stay too much longer. I think I'm just gonna do like about an hour, man. Yeah, I didn't even know I was going on for this long. I'm about to do an hour. Just make it an hour, quick little hour. You dig what I'm saying? You zima say, and then we'll just and I'm gonna just go. So if y'all got anything y'all want to ask within the next 5 minutes, or you know what I mean, 5 minutes and some change, we'll do like 6 minutes. You go right on ahead. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, man. Hey. Hey man, I was working at this place, man, and this lady who was very, very attracted to me, who happened to be my manager, tried to ask me, tried to do some very sneaky stuff because I wouldn't yield to her advances. You know what I mean? Because I had too much discipline. You know what I mean? And I realized again the intangibles. When you pay attention to intangibles, it'll reveal people's intentions. When you pay attention to intangibles, just don't lie to yourself when you see what you see. You'll know what to do and handle it your way. And your way must be the way of the Most High. It must be the way of the Most High. But yeah, you know what I mean? I told myself that if I gotta go, you gotta go too, because you did a lot of wrong. You did good. It's a mindset because you did a lot of wrong. So we both gonna go. It's cool. I'll go, but you gonna go too. It's a mindset. More time, you just have to honor yourself. That way there. It's a mindset. Honor Jah. That way there. Isn't it? I see him. So it go. Is it? Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was getting a phone call just now. I'm not sure if it chipped in or chipped out, but I was sometimes it doesn't compliment. I was like, no, don't answer it. So I don't know. I don't know if it happened or not. Look, man, we're not gonna get into what you feel about George Floyd, bro. However you feel about that man is how you feel about that man. That man, nobody had any right. The man was subdued. He was handcuffed. Nobody had any right to do what they did to that man. It's just that simple. I'm not here to if it's okay for that to happen to him, then it's okay for that to happen to somebody that you love. I'm sorry, bro. It's just what it is, bro. So you could take it or leave it, bro. And that's how I feel about that. There's nothing that you could say that's gonna change how I feel about it. Just like there's nothing that I could say to change how you feel about it. And I don't want to change how you feel about it. But here's what I'm saying about it. If it's okay to happen to George Floyd, then it's okay to happen to somebody that you love. So if it's okay to happen to somebody that you love, and continue to proceed in that vein of thought, in that vein of being. You see, I have to lower my frequency in order to speak these things. Is it a change in my expression? Because it's coming from somewhere pure. It's coming from somewhere, but it's coming from somewhere pure. You see what I'm saying? So, however you feel about that man or whatever it is, if it's okay for that man for what happened to him, it's okay for it to happen to him in broad daylight in front of everybody, then it has to be okay to happen to somebody that you care about too. But George Floyd didn't have a family. He didn't have a daughter. He didn't have a mom. I was just gonna stay another 5 minutes, but you just opened up Pandora's box. Thank you for that. He didn't have people that loved him, people that cared about him. Was he a human being? Is he subhuman? Is he property? Is his life not worth something? Huh? So if his life ain't worth nothing because I one energy was set, because I one energy was set. So if his life ain't worth nothing because I one energy was set, then your life ain't worth nothing either. because of one energy was said. That makes sense to you? So nobody try come gaslight nobody around here about them fuckery there. Because fuckery a chat. Fuckery a chat. That me I make you know. And the spirit of George Floyd will always live on. It's always gonna live on. It lives on through me. I'm here to tell I'm living testament. So there you go. What next? Do you see how the energy changed? You see that? Do you see how the energy, because it's coming from somewhere pure, it's coming from somewhere pure. So yeah, I don't buy into the rules of engagement that a lot of people try to buy into and try to brainwash people into thinking a certain type of way. No, bro. We all seen it and we all know that it was wrong. We all seen it. Why